Hey, it's me. So, let's go to DFFOO. I posted a recent content that's for Honkai Star Rail reviewing my last pulls, Ruan May, the Dr. Ray show, even though I didn't pull for him, I pulled for his light cone, and Black Swan, and my future pool plans, so you go check it out. But now let's go to the Siege of Final Fantasy Upper Omnia, which is going to end in about 10 days from now at the recording of this video. Okay, so there's a Reddit thread, closing thoughts on what you dislike. Now that FFOO is coming to an end, what were some things you didn't like about the game? I'm interested to hear what you thought could be improved or you just downright hated about the game. Anyway, sad to see the game go. Spent a lot of time playing it over the last 5 years. Yeah, it's an '07 for Upper Omnia. Let's read the replies. I dislike the break bonus just because a nothing feature. Caius Burst was built around it, and orbs such as Valtir were redundant as it was so pointless. Break bonus is the one above, right? I also dislike that the user interface never scaled properly. When the game started, it was fine, but Butt Bass, what's bugger bigger? Butt Bass, Butt Bass bugger screens came out with larger resolutions. There was so much empty space around the edges of the screen as it never just kept up. I also wanted to go out with a bang, but it just kind of fizzled. The co-op just became meh as they were elemental locked. Dirty the value was fine, but the rewards lack and didn't incentivize completion. Gil, Force Nuggets, and High Power Stones? Give us a burst, FR, and costume tokens instead. Wheatstone, the point of gatekeepers, this stuff now? Honestly, my skip tickets ran out. I log in to do the daily draw and log out. Yeah, I kind of agree on the first part for the break bonus that nothing really benefited from that. I don't even know what the break bonus even does. I just know if you break something, you get the bonus you get points from the bonus, and that's just it. I don't know. Co-op. Yeah, it just kind of fizzled. I wish they could have just, you know, go on with the schedule. Just release the events leading up to the decommissioning of DFFOO on February, so I can get my Irvine, and not just go with their old formula for Dare to Defy. But the rewards are fine, you know. You have the chance to max out your backlog of bursts. You don't need more burst weapons. You have a lot, given that the game's drop rates are really good. It is really generous, I think. I mean, there are some creators that said the game isn't really generous at a pay to win perspective, but still, you can get bursts really easily here. Burst weapons really easily here. Okay, next one. I didn't like how devs got lazy and released FR weapons instead of CL 100, character level 100. Then every event was charge the gauge and go into FR, win the game. Or you know, solo clear Shinryu with Rubicon or Kelgar. So I think his point here is, instead of releasing the FR weapons, they could have just went to Awakening, which is reasonable. Tingin ko kasi pag nag-Awakening, it just delayed the FR weapons a little bit further, and we could have just gotten harder Lupina Plus. But no, they just ushered FR in the Shinryu, and became monotonous. Just charge the game. It did really get boring. You got a lot of especially when Selfie came. Rubicon and Kelgar were mistakes, almost the level of Atlas. They killed up the value of face tanks like Warrior of Light, Snow, and Zack. Solo shouldn't have become this easy. I remember trying 8 solos and duos with Aiko back in the day, and that shit was hard. Having to break enemies out of order, keeping these debuffs up, weaving in his HP plus here and there, that took skill and a bit of luck. But Kelgar, going to FR and win. You could really top up your buffs that were nowhere near close to expiring. That's basically Kelgar. Wonder how 8 could have stood up to Kelgar besides bigger numbers. I don't have Kelgar, so I cannot relate. But 8, yes. When you try to solo with 8 back in the day, when it doesn't have his stun, really RNG based, you need to keep his buff up frequently, so you have to weave his HP plus to extend that buff. Then his LD came out, gave a taunt. Life became easier for 8 solos. Then Edge came, and then enemies just start targeting, hitting, ignoring evasion. You know? I mean, it already mentioned, then it dropped the ignore evasion, and then they just bring it back on some bosses. Yeah. Kelgar is emblematic of the degradation of kit complexity, and it's hard to tell if the devs got lazy or if simplification was the only way to remove power creep. To move power creep forward. I bet if Alice got an update, her burst would freeze her white and black stacks and leathers been redoublement. In general, there was nowhere else for character kits to go. Astos, Rubicant, and Kelgar are the terminus of their roles. Supports are just semantics game at this point. I was able to tell the difference between Aiko, Sarah, and Apbao in my party before, but between Rosa, Juice, and Yunora, they all make numbers bigger. I like the part where he said you can tell who are the support, the difference between the different supports. Yeah. So you got Aiko, who specializes in healing, holy magic, and holy enchantment. Then Sarah with debuffs and battery. And Apmao, turn manipulation, bit of healing. And what else did Apmao did? She got shields, right? I forgot. Then you got Rosa, Juice, Yunara. I forgot about... I think it's more about their healing. Who deals a bigger number of heals between the three. I don't have Yunora. I don't have the new Juice. So I can say it's... the healing. And Rosa is more of an aura bot, and then she deals damage. Then Lena, who was a ward. She was the ribbon of the DFFOO. Also deals damage. And then... let's go right here, and while I hear Rufus and Angel managed to hit higher numbers than Astos, the fact that it took them little months to reach that does not say any good. Yeah, like how the FFO did, they just cared about the bigger numbers. I'll try to skip the rest of this thread. The addition of hosts of summon birds made the game felt extra grindy, but kasi Pinoy ka, sige. Okay naman yung summon birds, may rewards naman. And ano naman, di ba may auto-clear naman? Sana inintroduce na nila yung wild points yung simula. Let's go to this one. FR and length of fights are being too long. Yes! So if you're doing 3/4 of the time, then screw up, then it's another 20 minutes of redoing fight. And this is when I was recording my runs. I was recording challenge runs back in the day. If I fail, I have to do it. I have to do another set of recording. FR just shrunk the time of the fights, but also removed a lot of the variety, because once you found your team, just swap a unit there and then you're good. Summation, not enough variety, and our units got too strong and homogeneous. Yeah, it went to the point that devs keep giving reworks, and the reworks are not that impactful anymore. To the point that you can't just differentiate the characters are. You know? All they do are big numbers. And ruler. I started playing the game when it was fairly new, and the length of the dramatic increase as the game went on. It always felt a little artificial. Instead of making battles interesting, it just became a grind fest. A lot of games seems to fall into the trap that as quality of player gets stronger and better, there's not how to balance it. My main memories when I started was Zack EX, Vayne event, and Ifrit's first event. I had played before but then never saved my account. So yes, balance is hard to do well. Hardest battles could go over an hour. This was unacceptable in a mobile game. You know the summon boards? The divine summon boards? Where you have to do some BS mechanic in order to kill the boss? Yeah, that irritated me. That okay, people were gonna say, you just bring the right unit, you know? What if I didn't pull on that unit? I have to find a unit that is most likely to be outdated, put it into the party just to kill the boss. Back in EX here, I think battles went up to 100 turns and required using all skill usages almost. A lot of battles can be ended quick nowadays. Yeah, I think people who say that recent fights or two don't remember the early Chaos era, where you're so limited by red ingots, you have no way to boost your party power. Well, in early Chaos you were able to use them because your skills count were pitiful. FR helped shorten the fight by making bigger numbers go over, but that also comes with the downside of making most fights homogeneous. Charge, FR, win. He does have a point. You see, in the Chaos era, the way you do the battle is by conserving the skill points. And by that, you're limiting yourself in using HP attacks, which that doesn't deal a lot of damage. But the health pool of the boss is really small. It's just that you're just conserving skill points when your bravery is really capped by either battery or by doing brave hits. That is when brave hits really matter. Then, later in the game, brave attack doesn't do SHIT. You know? Bosses got tankier, that's why you need the FR gauge, and then it just homogenizes. So, it's the point that they're both long fights, but in the Chaos era there is spacing, but in the FR era, the bosses are way more tankier. The fights are homogeneous, and the pace, I think it's the pace, you know. The pace is just bad. That's why it felt long. Okay. I stopped the game because of FR. BT and BT Plus were ironically the most fun I've ever had in a gacha game. Not only were the fun fights fun, but it was a callback to old FF games with the music change. Then FR hit, and not only did the gameplay become so much streamlined and boring, the BTs became lazy. Regardless of any manpower issues, SE may or may not have some bursts like Regis. I'm sorry, what is Regis bursts? Then you have really some underwhelming teams for BTs like Ida. Some hype-killing teams like Regia and Realm, and some horribly loop teams like Lunaperia. But in the end, FR was the killer. They power creeped the game to an absurd level and became boring because every fight was the same. FR was a mistake. I did the same. Stop a bit. After FR started, fights became extremely long, and bosses became huge HP sponge. This is what I said. Played this game for close to you. Loved the game. Had lots of fun. But it made too much of creative time consuming and killed the fun for me. Damage, doing no damage except ridiculous numbers when you activate an FR made it just long and boring. I know the game balance is absurd, but I feel they made the new game design decisions painted themselves in a corner. Sad. Look, Square, you don't have to introduce a new mechanic for a new weapon. You could just introduce. I think what they could have done is they could have done an ultimate weapon. They could have redo the ultimate weapon. Make it a unique weapon. For example, Squall. Squall has Lionheart. You know, Squall has Lionheart. And then that's the ultimate weapon. You don't do the generic ultimate weapon for each character you forge with ingots. You get the ultimate weapon by gotcha. Squall has Lionheart. That's how, and do not introduce FR weapons. So example, Squall has Lionheart. So he has an ultimate skill, Lionheart. And just like EX, that's gonna be a charging skill. And it will only charge maybe after a burst phase, just to combo it like that and remove the FR gauge completely. I think it would be a better implementation because it's my opinion. Tingin ko mas magandang implementation yun kaysa sa charge mo siya tapos ano. It's more like when you use your ultimate skill, that's like your final hit, right? And we'll do observe amount of values. That way, the fight won't get homogeneous like charging the FR, and and there could be some workaround with how bosses are now HP sponges. And then there's what reworks, where reworks don't matter anymore. I mean, remember when reworks matter, when Squall got his rework? That was really hype. Now when you heard a rework, oh, he's getting a rework. Nice. That's like the general opinion. Degradation mechanics was overtime was a big one. We ended the game at a point where the best damage dealer didn't even look at their own brave values, which I think is emblematic of the problem. In hindsight, I think I can definitely be said that they did a poor job pacing out updates for characters. Some characters got updates literally every time a new weapon. This one. This is where reworks became meaningless. Once they get a new weapon, they get a rework. And we can't go on track. Like the devs just couldn't allow their own favorite units to fail. Others would literally go 2 years at a time with no substantial update and basically skip a whole era. Fang! First EX Plus wasn't really touched again. Lupenia and LD. What about Ridja? She was always the last one to get the weapon tier, right? Yeah. Can't even give me the less for the well experience. Many characters left behind like that were main part of it. Then you have Sid Race, a character with scarce appearance for the first of 13 and a cameo in Lightning Returns, who legit was never left behind for very long at all, would receive incredibly long-lasting updates. I'm with you there. Break the use mechanic along with even break order. All those mechanics died when character ability growth allowed you to bypass those mechanics. Yep. The uniqueness of each character died when they introduced rework. Like, they have to fix everything what a character lacks. Squall! I'm gonna use your example again. This is all your fault, buddy. When you got that solitary lion buff, they're fixing everything. We don't, to the point that we don't even think anymore. Honestly, just dislike other gameplay as a whole. They thought they might surprise us with something special, but it just for the last month, but it didn't happen. I know it might be fun to complete everything, but when I really thought about how I wouldn't reach a goal, I wanted you to them just letting it go silently into the night with nothing special. I just decided to let go of the pressure and forget about it. This has been my favorite gotcha. Come close. You can go to Star Rail. FR was a mistake. Like everything else except the stupid orb managing insta-kills. Exactly this. I didn't really like FR, but the Pena orbs were always a nightmare. Being forced to bring a specific... That's the fun with Lupenia. You know, team building. At least it's not monotonous. Unlike FR. Played Tidus about Queen and Rubicon. Tried to come back from memories. Making Brave HP switching basically obsolete. Making everything Brave HP dumps. Yep. Back then, Brave hits matter. Now, brave bits don't matter. Remember, you have to balance between brave and nature. It was the OG to change your gimmicks. Yeah, when you make it brave and HP dump, it's just damage, damage, damage. The whole FR era, especially insta turn charges. Forcing all battles to be about charging FR gauge, then bursting, then or making it a 2-hour slugfest. Especially noticeable with Ulti Queen. I ran Ulti Queen once. It's effective, but when I tried to record it, my old phone ran out of memory because of the video size. Force charging was very bad design. It should only work with damaging abilities, non-insta turns. Yeah. He has a point. Because if you're an instant turn user, you waste a force time. Instead of using that force time to deal damage, you just did nothing. And but the question is it worth to waste a force time to charge the force percentage to deal big damage, or you could have just thrown damage in the first place? But if you throw damage in the first place, it also charges the force time, so you could just might as well do it by damaging. That's his point. He's right. He has a point. Giving fodder characters burst while leaving main cast in the dark. One of most important blood characters like Cecil didn't even get an FR. Cecil didn't get an FR? Really? Huh? Huh? Seryoso? Walang FR si Cecil? Dark Knight meron ah. Yung Paladin may tinutukoy niya. Hindi ko alam kung yung Paladin meron sa Japan. Pero, yeah. Honestly, they were dropping global like a rock. It has left me bitter. I'm just saying, they could have just put the rest of the updates. I was looking forward to Irby, the memorial battles, you know? Ever maybe drop the game, come back after EOS just to get Ignis full kit. But yeah, I just didn't like Shinryu fights. Very nitpicky, very nitpick, but I hated that Christis was a melee unit when she's a blue mage. I also think Taylor should have done what she did since the delay and the late boss were in his spear grid. I can't argue with that. The fact that the game became more about a set strategy that you had to follow 1:1, and if you didn't and the boss made a move, your entire team died, it really left a bitter taste in my mouth after trying the Penya difficulty. That, and the fact that you have all the gear for the character, otherwise you felt like you were doing no damage at all, or way too much. The Sidia was at its best on EX Plus, EX Plus, with strategies that a dynamic gameplay requires you to have a healer or have the capability to heal themselves. Felt more free-form. FR era, bit rates not being changed, so going from 2 releases per month to 6 per month. That's pretty much it. Also, Abyss Dulahan as a way to... you know, you could just use a Rydia call. Pwede mo lang gamitin si Rydia dun sa Dulahan eh. Ano nga ba? Ba't nga ba na forceful si Mog? Because the Dulahan in the story, you can cheese it with UP, and the Abyss Dulahan you can't. Right? Yeah. I still enjoy my time quite a bit in the FR, but I would agree that it ended up doing more harm than good. I really enjoyed the game before FR though, and the Cosmos to the Pena Plus era was fantastic. Go check out my views. You can sub to Harriet, like this video, subscribe. Blue Bomber 13. FR is what killed it for me. Really, people are upset about the FR era, and I can't blame them. I think most content creators dropped the game during the FR era. That coupled with all these characters that I've never heard of, just even didn't care about. Ahem. Where's Red 13? Where's Who else? Thunder God Sid. Where's Clive? It's pretty much not the same, right? As someone who played early to FR, it was the FR system. Felt like a different game. I did like the FR was basically first. The game didn't give much options other than buying, and they got rid of the Peña Plus. And basically, once they added the materials into Shinryu, you had to basically pull for the FR that was on the banner and vote, or both if it was 2. Shortly after FR came out, I pulled for a certain view, but then I quit because I realized I couldn't upgrade my BD weapons to their plus versions. Huh? Honestly, it was FR weapons, and the decision to give everyone a burst weapon that did it for me. Look, everyone will get a burst weapon eventually. If you look at the skill slots, it's like 10 of them. And if you go to a support character, they still have 10 skill slots. They really plot this in advance that everyone will have a burst weapon eventually. Leveling level new character was a pain too. I mean, they are level 70 automatically when you acquire them. I'm an alternate skill 1, skill 2 slot. So loadouts. Alright, different. Okay. I got this last statement. So we want different setup, skill 1, skill 2, loadout. They could have just implemented a new weapon for that, you know? A more versatile weapon, like, for example, you give BB a different weapon that gives him ice damage. That would make him versatile. I like, yeah, I want that. There's a few YouTube videos on the East of the there are mechanics that I really like. The orbs at FR. 3 words, summon board grinds. Ultimate was fine. It was the divine that sucks. Not boosting series characters instead of those featured in banners would give the player more options to clear. The grindy nature. FR made the gameplay a bit stale and tried to fix the introduced Rishinryu, which didn't help much. I wasn't looking forward to Rishinryu. They introduced Rishinryu as a global exclusive April Fools event, and I didn't have fun. I wasn't looking forward to that. Okay, we're in the negatives now, so I think that would be it. That is it for this video. 27 minutes, 28. Yeah. Thank you.